Hey! Hey! Oh, welcome back to Charisma Plus. Yes. We have this is an early episode. We usually don't play on Thursdays, but I'll be gone this weekend, and we got a whole bunch of story stuff we've been going through. And we want to get through it, so don't forget. And so, first thing, of course, we're gonna look at your fan art. What stuff you guys sent us?
Yes.
Yeah.
The best part of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah. So first, from the last episode, this is how someone felt.
The feels were strong.
And then here from also the last episode, here's a picture of Bump.
That's like the best, man.
That's the screenshot.
It's sad, too.
Thanks, Genki.
Thank you, Genki, for that one. That was all Genki. Perfect time.
That's how you felt this time, too. You love suffering and dying. Thank you. Let's see. We got some Raynor here.
Oh.
Who are you?
Got him.
Forgive me, grandfather. As Bayus gets the pike in the back.
Absolutely tragic.
Sad day. Who's watching behind here? Who's this?
No, I don't know.
He's gonna have to die.
They said they drew
It's
it
how-
how it's the sequencing of a
action.
certain game they've been playing or
Yeah.
an anime they've been watching, so that's why it's that sequencing.
Oh, okay.
That's just
that's
how
not-
fast AO is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at least a
standing
ghost
there.
image.
Yeah.
Oh, that's small. Real small. Bring
That's
it in.
Genki in.
Geeky drawing some Bump there, you know. Get your helmet.
It's so angular.
Look at that little heart.
Wait, yeah.
Little Bump heart.
Love, yeah, love, yeah.
Plump ain't got no heart.
What's that?
I know.
Oh, this is someone their reaction.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, that's us too.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, that's also us.
Ayo and Raynor laughing at the dwarves.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What is this? I think
Dude, yeah, it's okay. Like it
The
took,
wave, yeah.
like it took me a minute. I was like, "Who is that dude right there?" And I'm like, "Is that supposed to be Nathan?" And come to find out when I got to look at him, I'm like, "Man, this dude all stabbed and messed up. Man, this dude got the finest of silk." Oh, that's awesome! That's me. Then he was like flexing, and then you got the twinkle from the princess, and then you zoom in on she flexing on him. Like,
she's
yeah,
flexing the window up there.
yeah, she's flexing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let me see that flex. What's that? Where's she?
Okay.
I was completely lost.
Okay. Well,
This
there's
is when I got beat.
That's 11 and 12.
Yeah.
That's Miss 11 and 12 right there.
Yeah.
We don't remember by
To be
name.
honest,
Just
even in the
missing
drawing,
11
I can
to
still
12.
see the booty from the back.
so you got Belle down there like, and then she's up here like, first place, Atura. There you go.
Man, that girl.
All I remember,
Still.
the only thing I remember is Miss 11 and 12. That's it.
Flawless.
It was 10 and 11. She's got the stats written right there.
Was it 10
Oh,
and
yeah,
11?
it's a 10 to 11.
I could have sworn it was 11 and 12.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. It's
You
okay.
said 11 in the back, you about lost your mind.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have to roll out my chair right now.
I think this is just a meme thing someone put in there, and it looks kind of like me, so I thought I'd put it in there. It's like, when the DM rolls him bad, your character gets hit, and just slowly looks up at you. He's just like,
That is a
damn,
Kenny
bro.
That's Kenny right there.
Yeah.
They look at them stats, it's like, damn, girl.
So fine.
This is
Oh,
that's the gift you gave Belle for her birthday.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Then we got
look at this. The Ezekiel, yo. I actually like that one, yo.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's not Ezekiel, by the way. It's Zedekiel.
ZDQ.
So it's a little inverted, but still, it's really cool. I like that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that. There's even an axe down there.
Axe and wings. And
Is that your axe?
you saying I need to go get it?
Don't do that.
It looks like a light to me, like a torch. It's got light coming
Yes.
out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, torch on the other end of it, yo.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this?
So cute. This is a fan comforting you, I think.
Oh,
I remember that
thanks.
tweet.
Because you didn't have anybody.
Oh, I was sad.
Don't listen to him. You're perfect.
You're perfect.
Thanks, I guess.
For a minute there, I thought that was a part of the craziness, and that was like me sitting there holding his head in the bathroom.
It's high mode.
Okay.
That's cool. It's a salad.
Let's get a salad.
Then we got someone wearing a shirt.
Hey.
Hooray! Oh yeah.
I'm wearing mine today too. Look at that. Christmas Plus!
Boom.
Yeah.
Tommy Gala Boxing Gym. So if you have any fan art or anything you're working on, put it on Twitter, #Charisma Plus. We'll see it. If you have any interest in the shirts, they're down below this in the gear section on the very top. You can click on it, check it out on Amazon. And y'all, so man, a lot of stuff happened. A lot of heavy stuff last game. So to bring us in from the beginning of last episode, Ayo, you had pierced Veus with your nail and turned him into a thrall, basically, for a day. At the end of which he would perish, and you learned some information. Did you anything that you appreciated learning from him?
We learned about Zarini. She's part of the Thieves Guild.
Yeah, your one true love.
Yeah, that was a pretty big bombshell. We learned a little bit about the cleric. Had some theories about what she is. We knew that we learned that the Thieves Guild didn't hire the assassins that initially attacked the Hayes family.
That's right.
We learned that Veus was Ralph's younger brother, which is odd because he appeared as like an elderly man. We learned that Ralph and the cleric were working together not because he was being controlled, but because they have a similar goal.
Right. Yeah, and of course after day, then Veus is going to pass away, and then just to maybe to help him, you don't know how he was going to die, so you got some poison that he had available in his house because he's part of the Thieves Guild.
Kind of eased him into it,
and he drank it, and of course willingly because he was under your control.
Yeah.
And then he passed away. Mary got a little teary-eyed.
So sad.
It was sad.
It was really sad.
And then during that time, a battle was happening. A battling for the bedroom of Osseron Kegfinger on the front lawn of the Hayes Manor.
Right there in the front yard.
2 rounds.
So Owen, just being recently kicked out of where he was staying and fired from his job.
Yep.
He came to stay at Uncle Nathan's house, where Osseron met him in the yard and told him, "You can't come in here." And he challenged you to a duel for your room, and you accepted.
1v1, nobody jumps in. Let's go. Let's start slap boxing right there. Which I thought, didn't go as bad as I thought. I mean, no, I really did. I thought, since, he's got a flaming claymore, bastard sword, I was going to get one shot, so I just accepted it. But, he hit me, and I took, a very hard hit, and then I returned fire back on him, really well, so makes me think.
It's hard to miss it when you didn't have any armor on.
That's true, too.
A little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, slight advantage, but still to no avail.
Well, you did some damage to him, and eventually you fell.
Yeah, fell, and I had to Osseron had to leave the house, and so he started to he went to the Paladin Barracks and just stayed. That's where he stays right now.
Yeah, you're in there lifting weights the next day.
Yeah, lifting weights. Yeah,
Scrun had to come spot you.
he got up to 600, man. He was
Got my workout in.
You curling the weights off of him. Did anything else happen before you guys headed out, or was that the majority of it? I don't seem to remember anything else.
it was about
A Bell's Guild.
Oh yeah. You've
Yeah.
been holding on to an emerald necklace for the past 8 sessions or so. You finally got to present Belle for her birthday,
Yeah.
and hey, you tried to give it to her the night before, but she was out.
She wasn't there.
In the garden.
I was sleeping in the garden.
Yeah, Ayo didn't know where she was.
Yeah, you were out in the garden with all your
Like,
summoned animals you have.
that was actually funny because
Yeah.
Radar sent a phantom steed to Bill's room, and all throughout the house she yelled and screamed. Oh man, that was pretty.
And then went
Pull it
outside
fire.
to comb hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all
Comb
sitting
the
in a
hair.
circle combing each other's hair.
Yeah.
the giant warthog and the old Matt sent you a celestial steed or some sort of something.
Yep.
Yeah, you got a necklace and a horse he sent to you all in one night.
I know.
Well,
You're welcome.
no, one night and then the next night you got your anyway. So then you guys gathered up, heading to the vineyard for Belle's birthday party, which it's maybe not the way you wanted to spend your birthday, but you were invited back to your childhood home by something that the party has a great interest in. So you didn't decline the invitation. You loaded up in some chariots, some chariots, but whatever they're called. I can't even think of the correct word.
Carriages.
Carriages, yeah, thank you. Carriages headed out. And as you guys got closer, the world just kind of seemed to get weirder and darker. It seemed kind of just like a cloud in the direction of the vineyard.
No
Hell.
no life or anything
Yeah,
out
you
there.
guys,
No
there's
sound.
no birds, not even bugs. You saw a lake as you passed by, not even the fish broke the water. No ripples, just like a sheet of glass. Even the sign on the way to the Hayes Vineyard that points and says Hayes Vineyard had, charms and red paintings saying "Turn back."
It was a whole
It had
different.
a symbol of Merkle on it as
The
well.
new symbol.
It was
yeah.
the new one, yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Totally
Mercurials
different.
hanging from it. Some cult activity seemed to be happening just around the sign. And you guys go forward. You got closer to the tree line that came in. Two gargoyles stood there and seemed to watch you as you passed, and blink lights blinking in the shadows of the trees. And then as soon as you cross the threshold between the tree line, it was just like a beautiful sunny day. Birds chirping in the air. The vineyard was lush and green.
Well,
A perfect
Alceran
day.
almost overloaded his divine sense.
Before you
by the
guys went through,
gargoyle, too.
Alceran did open up his divine sense and nearly went blind.
Yeah, right before we got to the
Gargoyle.
the vineyard, yeah, the gargoyles outside, like, had the worst aura Oseron has ever felt. As soon as he turned it on, he had to, like, pop it right back off because it was beyond evil.
Yeah, you went inside. You saw the vineyard. People stood up from the vineyard and waved as you passed by. You saw the place had been prepared for a birthday. There were streamers up. There was a banner above the door. Happy birthday. You guys arrived. Were shown to your rooms. You all had individual rooms that were interesting. Mary, your room was the same way you'd left it. Same bed, same everything. Like it hadn't been touched, just dusted simply.
Yeah.
Ao, you had a door that seemed to reflect a bit of the things that have happened in your life in the past few weeks. There was a crow door that you had to knock on 3 times to open. There were the shadows in the room seemed longer. There's a tree. It's like a mysterious feeling when you came in the room. Then your toy box.
Yeah.
There were some files that had
Some information about the rest of the party. There were several paintings in the room of friends and stuff that had happened to AO. There's a painting of Belle on the nightstand.
yeah.
And inside the toy chest, there was the files and several toys. And also hidden in there was a flower that was given to AO from Belle.
Yeah, the
when
dried
they
out
were young.
flowers in a hidden compartment in the side.
Yeah.
And Raynor, you had the dragon room.
Yep. All dragon.
The door and
yeah.
carving of a dragon.
Dragon everything.
You had a dragon bed, 2 rubies shimmering in the light. You even had a little nightstand that like cast a shadow of a dragon on the wall.
It's very cool, very cool. Had this little, dragon figurines hanging from the ceiling, and in the toy box, there's more dragons, and the humans set up, and there's like a little play set of like scared, terrified humans and the dragon.
Yeah, yeah.
Like foreshadowing something.
Take that microphone and point it between you two a little more. Just point at Terrence. We don't need a microphone pointing straight at Terrence.
We don't need one.
Terrence, Bump, you want to tell everybody about your room?
Oh man.
Yeah. Start with the door.
Start with the door. On the outside of the door was a voluptuous, full-figured woman with all the stats in all the right places. Open up the room and
What was your doorknob?
what was the doorknob?
The golden breast.
There was a
doorknob?
gold breast, yeah. It was a gold breast, yeah. So that was already interesting. Then you walk in, I think the room, basically the color was like red and black. The bed was one of those circular beds. And had the black, I won't say like veil
Yeah,
curtain
veil.
things. It was all black, and it was silk on the bed, red, and let's see what else was going on.
You had like a lush shag red carpet
yeah,
on the bed.
I'm talking about it was something like, I don't know. What's the
Dwarf
Austin Powers?
Powers.
It'd be like Austin Powers' room, with
It's filled with candles, wines, cheeses, fruits.
yeah. Also on top of that, there was a fountain, I guess you can say, or a statue of Miss Eve pouring water on herself when she was all naked. Stats. That was just stats all over this
I
room.
could say your first stat, true love.
Yeah, first one, first bang.
Blessed.
And then the toy box was full of like what tissues, lube, and something. I think it was.
Well, there weren't tissues, but there were rags,
rags,
books on women and such.
That's why stats all
dating
over this room don't sound
dating tips, everything like a lonely bachelor, kind of like Quagmire's house. I imagine.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's just like that.
Then we'll save Hamo for last, and then we go to Dane's room, and your room was like the heavy oaken door that the servant couldn't open himself.
Yeah.
You had to do it for him.
Yeah, I tried to get him to do it. I was like, try again. And
Just couldn't
he
handle
couldn't ever get it. So I pushed the door open. It was pretty cool inside. It was seemed pretty old fashioned. A lot of things that depict some old epic warriors and such. A lot of cool shields and stuff hanging on the walls, and
It's almost like your room was just like a mead hall or a celebratory room with a bed in it.
yeah, and it did have Daddy Kegfinger hooked me up with some of the strong brew
Yeah.
of the Crimson Ale.
Yeah, I jumped up. Picked up on that.
Purple
Purple Haze.
Purple haze, baby.
Purple haze.
Purple haze.
Crimson Haze.
And you also had a toy box in your room, but it was just mainly filled with stories of legendary battles and wooden sword, shield, a helmet that fits if you want to put it on. And then that brings us to Hamo's room. They open the door, and instead of us seeing a room, you could just see the carriages that you guys rode in on still there. The steps down to the front porch and the fountain in the middle as you seem to be looking out the front door.
Yeah, I had to look at my servant like, because I opened the door myself. And I looked at him like, bruh. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. So he closed it and opened it back up. He was like, you want to go in? I was like, nope.
It opened it back up to let's look at a normal room, not a whole lot special, but you can see around the room there were some paintings that depicted acts of faith, Mercule.
Yeah.
And you can see the toy box in the corner of the room, and you open that up after you finally went in, and you found a book.
It said the life.
It said The Life of Haimo on top, and there's a leather band with a keyhole in the front. Is it sealed? You haven't opened that yet.
Nope.
And then you guys went to the library. God, it's such a long recap. So much happened.
Yeah.
You guys went to the library to meet with Belle's dad, Samuel Hayes, and Ruby Hayes, your twin sister. Dun, 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 twin sisters. There's a lot of twins in this game. You guys are twins as well. But Ruby was completely different, not what you guys expected. She, which there was some fan art. I guess I failed to link it in there. But I guess just for your mind's eye, you can imagine Nightmare from Soul Calibur, just the large claw arm on a Sailor Scout's body. I was thinking about what she looked like. I was like, this is a freaking Sailor Scout. But like black, lots of black and red in her skirt and her top, and a large black cloak thrown over her gigantic claw and deformed arm. But she seems happy to meet you guys. She's also got one of her eyes is red and almost like you can almost see smoke, a red haze coming off of it. Then you guys kind of awkwardly talked for a little bit. You could also sense her presence throughout the place, and it doesn't set well with your divine sense.
She is all evil at this point. I could not see any good in her. It was just evil, dark, black. Like, we need to stay away from it.
And then after the long silence, good old Granddad Nicholas entered the room, and in a similar fashion to when you guys met him as children, you could feel like a presence emitting off of him, and it just seems to make him seem like a better person, maybe just someone that you would like, or almost like just a presence of royalty, just depending on how you look at it, but definitely a presence. And he talked to each one of you. He complimented you on different things, told you how fast and sneaky you looked, and best at hide and seek. Belle grew up beautifully, of course. Ray Nori, he talked about your obvious dragon appearances. Asked you about how you've been coming along in your magic and studies. Oseram, it just busted you out for everything, really.
Yeah, really.
You have Zedekiel floating above you, which the party can't see, as he seems to be in the ethereal plane, working his puppeteer fingers, but he could plainly see him, it seemed, and asked you what that was. What else did he say? Yeah, he asked to see your ring as well.
The ring hand and had the claw on it, which he saw through like the armor and everything, and which I was shocked. I'm like, okay, this guy can see through everything on a whole nother level.
Knew that you're, instead of having a ring, and now taking it like grown over your whole finger and took a claw, similar to Ruby's arm.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to. He said that Hymo seemed familiar, but couldn't quite place him. And eventually, I think he believed he saw your ring and seemed to just kind of like realize something and be thinking to himself. But he seemed to get excited about that. And then
I lied to him.
Yeah. And Scrying, he talked about, you guys are looking tall, looking strong. And then after, that, he moved on to Miss Eve, which he was fairly harsh to. Basically accused her from going from Samuel, where she worked as a servant, basically like raised you guys. Then you guys were, kicked from the manor. And then went to Nathan Hayes' house, where she has now become engaged to him. And so he's like, you went from one son to the next. And then he also put her in charge of making sure that you guys stayed safe. And he didn't seem happy with how you guys showed up, and possibly threatened her. As he was speaking to her, he seemed to grow anger, and the shadows in the room stretched and raised to the roofs. You could hear a distant rumble outside. And then he seemed to just kind of brush it off and be like, well, that's beyond your control anyway, I'm sure. And then you guys went down to the party. You guys went down the hill to the party. You saw your family members were there. People of the vineyard that work there were clapping and yay, happy birthday. Two paladins showed up. Children that were also raised or born on the Hayes Vineyard. Leo and Albert, I believe. I don't have their names in front of me.
It wasn't Albert.
Hmm?
It wasn't Albert.
Was it not? Ethan? Ethan. There it is. Leo and Ethan. They rode up. Paladins of Helm. They had 4 other paladins with them, and they were not having any of it. They had deemed this place was strange and evil. They recalled that they had been back before, and their parents that were still there that rushed up to greet them before the parents didn't even recognize them or even acknowledge them, and they cut them down. Owen stepped up to try to stop them, as did some of the party. Scron, you cut down one from his horse. Ao, you had stabbed another in the back, burning his eyes out of his head with green flame.
Yeah.
Owen
Jack-o'-lantern.
Owen slayed, or you did that to Ethan, I believe, and then Owen slayed Leo. And the rest, the other 3 surviving paladins, immediately just turned and started heading the other way as they were outmatched. Nicholas stepped forward and laid hands on him. They seemed to be revived, but it was strange. The paladins didn't remember that they were here and that they were on a crusade to remove the evil from this place. They were happy to see their family. They hugged each other and went inside as if nothing happened. And then as they did, you could hear a scream in the distance, and Ao and Hymo noticed like a fog of red spray into the air. But what happened was just out of sight. So then you guys went inside, had some cake, had some fun, danced around, had some drinks. Nicholas presented gifts to Ruby. He gave a new black cloak, as her other was in tatters. A very fancy crystal bottle of red liquid. And then Belle, you received an instrument, a bardic instrument.
I sure did.
Magical item.
Yep. I received sorry, I'm rewriting all my stuff, so it's all messy. A Knaith mandolin and a pretty headdress.
You did get a jeweled headdress. Mm-hmm. It looks expensive.
Yeah.
And then his gift to the rest of the party.
Love it. Rotation.
Man.
He presented you all with a gift which he called
What you call it?
he called the trial of truth, jokingly. Oh man, this is rough.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Let me get to my notes. There's so many freaking things. There it is.
Oh my god.
Let me drink this real quick.
So, is it Xander or Zandin?
Xander.
Zandin's Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay. He called Xander to the front before UAO, and Xander presented you with a weapon. He told you that in the old days of the Elven community, the Elven Empire, maybe, that you guys were once known as royalty.
Yeah.
Presented you with a dagger as a sign of office and other, hope, as I think he believed he said, honor. And he went back to sit down, but Nicholas wouldn't let him sit. He told him that there was more and to stop wasting everybody's time. And so then you were told the story of your mother. And before, it was actually after the elves were freed in this world, since they were enslaved for almost 1,000 years, that the owners, or the whatever you want to call them, the people your parents were bound to, didn't free them. And they hid the fact that they didn't do so for a couple of years. You were born, and word had gotten around that they were keeping elves as servants against their will. And so the paladins would come to, free you. And to avoid a hefty fine, they decided they'd just rather kill you and hide the bodies. So your parents fled, baby Ao in arms. Your father had stolen a coin patch before they left, alerting the people that you guys had escaped sooner than they should have known, because they were looking for it. So they called up to you guys, and your dad talked your mother into sacrificing herself to give you guys more time to get away. Instead of doing it himself, he used his name of nobility to try to just make her believe that she wasn't worth as much as him and his son were.
Yeah.
She did stay back. But of course, that wasn't the reason she stayed back. She stayed back because she loved you.
Right.
And if she wouldn't have done that, then you all three would have been caught and slain. Which eventually he found the Hayes Vineyard and employment. And you guys grew up with Ao. Little Ao having no idea this had happened. And then he went to sit down again, but Nicholas still wouldn't let him sit. And then finally Fenrir confessed to stealing from the Hayes family for years, but with good intentions of sending you off to a proper school in the now free world for elves. He didn't bring the money with him. Nicholas scoffed at him for that and presented the coin pouch himself. And then Fenrir took it and handed it to you. And then he moved on to Oseron and Scran. Which Daddy Kegfinger bolstered his chest out and took the floor.
Like a proud man.
Yep.
And
Strong.
gave what had led to the Cakefingers being exiled from the mountains in the Dwarven community years ago, long before you were even born. You were once known as Titanbeards, and just a silly plan to save the family from bankruptcy of stealing a recipe of brew and trying to play it off as his own. And of course they call it on easily.
Yeah.
And then just to save the family from any more discredit or dishonor, he attempted to have the other family killed. Of course, that was stopped. They were caught. The entire Cakefinger family, Titanbeard family, was exiled. And he announced how proud he was of his boys. And then he came to the vineyard and he watered down the same brew that he had stolen to produce the Crimson Haze, what the family is, famous for. And he waited, for Nicholas to let them sit. And he just stood there staring. And it seemed that your mother had a secret.
Oh man, that's secret. That's secret. It's like some Jerry Springer.
More
Maury Povich came out and announced that Daddy Cakefinger was not, in fact, the father of these two boys that were tall for dwarves and seemed to not resemble their father
at all.
Not very much. I mean, black hair, he had brown hair. It's kind of similar, but even like just the eye and the nose is obviously different. But, as children, you didn't know that, and you haven't seen him in a long time, though it's not like you could have put it together. But the Hayes family had held a banquet for one up-and-coming arena combatant coming into fame named Marcellus. After a couple of drinks, he took interest in Mama Cakefinger, and then months later, twins were born.
Yep. Out of wedlock.
And what happened to Marcellus, Dane?
Years later. Well, I met him in the arena.
You guys met at the arena held by the Emperor?
Yeah, in the finals. He was a great warrior, and like father, like son. At the time, the Emperor said they needed to be.
He wanted someone to die.
He did want someone to die, and I didn't want that to be me. So I killed Marcellus, my father.
You slayed him. I mean,
and dropped the bolt on him.
You guys were. You did drop the bolt on him. I mean, you guys have your dwarven appearances are so heavy that How would you have known? There's no way you could have known.
Wouldn't have known. Didn't think none of that.
And but like father, like son, you took interest in the arena. Marcellus is actually even your hero.
Yeah.
And it was an honor for you to meet him in the arena, and then you defeated him and dropped the boat on him.
Celebrate.
Only to learn a few days later the truth. But you're also having a statue of him built outside of the arena that you now own. Smaller than yours, though.
It is a little. It is going to be a little smaller than mine, but. Oh my god. Maybe it won't be finished by the time we get back, so I'll have some say-so in that.
And then they moved on to Raynor and called forward Samuel and Nathan Hayes, who are not related to you, as the two previous have been parents. And they told you that you were hatched to have a dragon egg. And it kind of makes sense with how you look now. You're like mostly like you're almost a dragon. What is there? A dragon born in this game or dragonkin?
Dragonborn.
Yeah.
I thought it was dragonkin.
Dragonborn.
He's a dragonborn. Yeah, I mean you were half elf, half human. Then of course when you got roasted by the dragon that came through town. When you were generated like scales, a tail. You were. I wouldn't say half dragon. I'd say it's more 90% dragon. Like only seemed like your face remained really. But they attested to that. They've had this egg in the family for a long time. There were two. One is lost, which you guys suspect that the dragon that you met previously taken that egg. But they warmed up your egg to hatch you. They went through a lot to inject the egg with the blood of humans and elves and soak the egg in it for you to be born the way you are. I don't have the dragon's name, who is your father, in front of me. Chambrios, I believe?
Yeah, that was it.
Chambrios, the defender of the elven people before the humans showed up. And then Nicholas was like, but why? Why would they do this? Which then he kept them in front of everyone and moved on to Belle and Ruby. Where then they explained how you guys were all part of a ritual. Huzzah!
Yeah.
They did very specific things, and they said that they didn't have everything they needed. So they improvise. They waited until a time of year when the stars aligned the same way that when the spell was cast, when the veil between worlds was the thinnest. And they even sacrificed Belle and Ruby's mother, and Nathan's wife, and attached their souls to the seal of the door to weaken the seal even more. And leading up to you guys being able to open the door 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then Nathan, it kind of took a turn as Nathan began to question Nicholas. Nathan claimed that there was no records of Nathan being trapped down underneath the house, or Nicholas being trapped underneath the house. There was no records of how the spell worked, anything. And so he questioned, how did they know? Why can he remember back before their father even told him the story of Nicholas being in the crypt, that he could remember that Nicholas is down there? He claims that Sam isn't even a mage, doesn't even know how to cast magic, but yet can cast a complicated blood magic, trapping a soul to a door. A spell that he's not even too sure how they know. And after some questions, Nicholas dismissed them and took the floor and seems to have a smile of pride and almost as he dares you as he spins around and bows slightly and tells you to ask whatever you'd like to ask him. And that is the recap of last episode. So, I'll just put these two together. There it is.
Oh, man.
As you were sitting there, you guys are looking down. Nicholas has left the spot upon the stage where you guys are sitting and stands with his hand out, bowing slightly with a daring grin on his face. You look around the room. Everyone is dead silent. Nicholas and Sam retake their seats. Miss Eve seems off-put by what they said about his previous wife, as she was under the impression that he'd never been married before. You can see Owen sitting a little further away. His knuckles white as he has two fists made, and he's just staring down at his plate. It doesn't seem his normal anger, like where he's turned beet red. It's more of a ashen white as he's hearing this news. Samuel's looking down in shame, and Nathan has a fixed scowl as he is listening very intently to anything that Nicholas has to say. And the floor is yours. What would you like to ask Nicholas?
Belle continues eating her cake.
Can you eat your cake? Nicholas just still kind of stands there. His smile kind of starts to drain from his face, and his eyebrows raise.
So, Nicholas, we're all part of a ritual or wait, prophecy? What is this?
Well, there's not really a prophecy, I would say. It's more of how to explain it. Look, you're going to think I'm just this terrible bad guy. But and he seems to just kind of rub his face for a long time now, I have been pulling the strings here and there around this place in hopes that the day 13 years ago would come. There's no prophecy. There's only my knowledge and my ability and just dumb luck.
Did you know Namasha?
Briefly.
You knew that he would write a book, that our names would be on it.
I met him as a child. It was an odd meeting.
I bet it was.
And I gave him a letter.
What do you remember of that day?
He kind of strokes his cheek a little bit, and his glance just kind of slides over to Hamo a little bit. I remember there was a lot of death, a A lot of screams, a lot of pain. There was a child that seemed to have unusual friends. And he kind of like perks up a little bit and smiles.
Were you alone?
Me? No. Definitely not. I had my friends there with me. My old warring party, I guess you could call them. But speaking about that day, I've actually written about it. You guys should find that book. And he kind of winks towards Asheron.
Yeah, with the book. Yeah. Something like that.
And he
we
kind of
found
leans
it.
in and is like, I think it'll be a very interesting experience. And smiles and sits back.
It's just like clenched fist, just like she's ready to get him. So you were locked away in the cellar. So him, Miracle, Moorball. Tell me something. Why do you feel the same as the Avatar him when I was dead?
What did the Avatar helm feel like when you were dead?
I don't know. Like something wasn't right, but at the same time it was.
It wasn't like a righteous, upholding the light, heroic feeling.
No.
The
this is
Avatar
different.
helm doesn't seem so, I don't know, holy and portrayed.
Something about that whole Avatar wasn't right, but I went along with this quest anyway.
Well, to answer your question to why maybe I feel the same way as a creature,
That's pretty
Almost
close to
godlike.
God. Yeah.
well, I mean, just to be frank with you, within this place we are now, you could say that I am a god.
Just turns his head. You're no God.
What does a mortal man know of godliness?
I
The
don't
constant
know.
effort to reach out and just get a glimpse of what's beyond this life.
Whatever it is.
If you were a god, why were you sealed?
Well, I wasn't then. I mean, this is not like old God Nicholas. Ha ha ha. I'm Nicholas Hayes, the first Archmage of the Crimson Empire, savior of many, destroyer of many, and the betrayed. So it probably, I don't know, how long has it been? 1,020 some, I don't know. So a long time. I've been kind of like, it's trying to find a way to explain it. What do you know about magic?
I don't know much. I don't know anything really.
Okay, well, to explain it, magic is it's all around us. It's creation itself. Everywhere. The air you breathe. Like the skin on your fingers. There's magic in everything. I've had a very long time to attune myself and manipulate my surroundings to where it's almost my own private plane. It still exists in the material world, but I have a lot of influence, you could say, as like he kind of moves his finger and your drink refills itself. Cool, huh?
So, if they're a part of the prophecy, how did I end up in this whole thing? Why do I look familiar to you?
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it?
You said Namashal had strange friends there. Did you see who they were?
Couldn't tell who they were. But they, he kind of laughs. They felt real familiar. Not at the time, of course. But, and then he kind of like leans forward again. But don't forget, I got this book. You guys should definitely read it. And he just like, it's almost like comical how he like grins at you after he says it. Like he really wants you to read this book. Whenever you bring up that incident.
All seeing, all knowing, all whatever.
I don't know everything. I do see everything here, at least.
Yeah, so through my armor, you can see Zedekiel here and my finger here. Why is it the same like Ruby? And what's up with Zedekiel?
So which one do you want me to answer first?
Sure, why not? Take your pick.
No, you tell me. You're the one asking. I could be here all day.
Yeah, I know. What about this guy?
That guy. As he looks and kind of like, he scratches his nose, much like I am right now. That guy looks to me like a demon. A demon hiding in the ethereal plane, tied to a mortal body, because if he didn't have that, he would cease to exist. And as he says that, you can feel Zedekiel just cringing and like, as he's speaking to him, just wishing that he could be anywhere else, but it almost wants to pull you away, but can't. Where'd you get it at?
I don't know. It's that whole Avatar Helm thing told me to fight it in a whole nother ethereal plane, defeat it, which I did. I had help from a divine being, and I defeated him. But right before he, I guess, latched on to me, then I came back to life.
Who was he latched on before you?
I don't know. But it was, I don't know. I walked into an arena much like the one that's at home. And he was attached to somebody, but I don't know.
He just kind of sits there and looks, and he's like, well, that seems like a fun mystery between you and Zedekiel. And he kind of smiles, and as he does, you can feel the shudder of fear within him. But as far as anything else goes, I don't know. But having a name can create very powerful spells, binding spells. So if you ever need it, you know.
Okay, then.
If that is his real name, he kind of like raises an eyebrow and looks.
Since all secrets out, I feel bad for not telling my family.
You
What about my
should.
finger?
Secrets are bad. Secrets are very bad.
Crap knows. So what about my finger? It looks like Ruby's arm. Am I going to end up like that? What about that?
Well, hopefully not. Kind of a unexpected thing.
Yeah, I know.
So the rings. I'm sure you all want to know about the rings that are attached to your fingers that you can't remove without lopping your finger off.
Why were we chosen to have these rings?
Well, he kind of just like smiles and puts it at the side. Would you believe me if I just said I wanted to thank you?
No.
No.
All right. Well, I was grateful that you guys let me out. The rings serve several purposes. Just to give you a history of the rings, I call them the Elder Rings. They are made from the remnants of what is called the Elder Brain. Now, you guys may not be familiar with that, but in other worlds, creatures worship these things as gods. And they have strong abilities, like telepathic abilities, which, explains your telepathic link, right? When you put the rings on, you probably felt this pain shooting up your arm and back your neck. That would be a nerve from the ring that is physically in your arm and up your spine into the bottom of your brain, which it can be severed, but it repairs itself shortly. Aside from enhancing your abilities and keeping you guys together like a family should be, it gives you the edge, right? How many times has that ring been invaluable to your success? I hope a ton. As he seems to be patting himself on the back of doing such a great job.
So is this the end result? What the ring does?
Well, aside from those few perks, it's also intended to keep your soul from wandering when you perish. He kind of like slaps his hand a little bit. The world outside of this one, well, it's not working quite as it should. Maybe you guys have noticed there's spirits, bodies that rise. Just seems the dead doesn't want to stay dead anymore. So, when you pass, your spirit will enter the ring so that either I can find you, a resurrection will work correctly so that your spirit's not lost. But from the time that you spend anchored to this world, the ring feeds and grows. And I had no way of knowing this. I don't think it poses any threat. I mean, look at Ruby. She's fine. And Ruby's kind of just sits there silently staring forward. But you would have to be dead for about a month or so, right, Ruby, for it to come out like that? And she kind of nods her head. So, yeah.
So you mean to tell me when my sister ran away from us, she died at the age of 13?
Why is she still 13?
And he looks back at Ruby as if, like, is it okay? And she nods her head. Ruby, after I sent her away, she stayed away for a few years, and then she came back. She was muddy, a little bloody, tears in her eyes, begging to stay. Of course, I wanted to turn her away, but she refused to let me. But at that time, this place was still very dangerous. I told her she wouldn't be able to stay with me. I'd have to take her back or take her somewhere else, and of course she refused still. And I couldn't bring myself to do to her what I had done to the rest of the family. So I explored options. I mean, maybe it's something I said, but she told me that she always wanted to be my little granddaughter and that she wanted to be stronger to help Grandpa Nicholas out. So I went back into the lab, found the blood of a very old and very pure vampire that had been sealed away in my lab. And I don't know if you know how vampirism works. It corrupts your spirit. You become quite the inverse of what she was before, and I didn't want to lose her. So I removed her spirit from her body into the ring. We moved forward, with her permission, of course, to transform her body using the curse, the good parts of the curse, keeping her spirit protected, as not be corrupted. It took longer than I thought it would. A month and 13 days, I was finally able to rejoin her soul into her body. And this is what we have. I cut off the link between her ring and yours because I didn't want more of you showing up. I mean, I love you to death, but at the time, I felt like I could protect one of you, and probably not even well, because she can protect herself now. But also to protect you guys from any kind of gestures at her arm. If you guys were still linked to that, I'm pretty sure you would lose all free will. As it grows stronger. You can kind of take where that would take. That would lead. You guys would just be mindless Ruby lovers if I hadn't done that. But she doesn't seem to regret it. I do regret the Elder Ring reacting the way it did, but we're happy. I know it's not the answer you want, but again, it wasn't your choice. It was hers. As Ruby, she looks down as she doesn't want to look at any of you in the eyes. And probably not the best way to handle it, really, in hindsight, but it's very useful.
Slump back in my chair. And so that's my end result. To end up like that.
Hopefully not. I'm still exploring the possibilities of getting her arm back. But is quite attached to her now. Seems it's very unsafe to remove the rings at this point. I didn't intend to use you as guinea pigs, but with great power comes consequences sometimes. And he kind of holds his hand out. I know that's not a good answer. It's a terrible thing. If you had the choice or known, or if I had even known how it would end up, I probably wouldn't have given them to you. But
We were children.
I thought that giving them to you at a young age, you would grow and adapt, and maybe it wouldn't. He just kind of shrugged. I don't know. I guess I didn't think that through very well.
Why did you give us the extra one?
You guys don't need it.
How did you know that, though?
Did you guide Namasha?
I mean, I just gave him a letter. I just don't want to give you all these spoilers for this book.
You mentioned this book several times.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
It's in the house. It's in and he kind of thinks for a second. I think it's actually in my study. I think. And he seems to like be searching for it in his mind. Yeah. Bottom drawer in my study. Left-hand side, bottom drawer, under some papers. Yep.
You said these. You gave us the rings and all of this to protect us. Protect us from what?
Well, I was mentioning spirits and the world being not what it should be. After death, your spirit leaves your body, goes to the afterlife, wherever that may be. With the absence of our fantastic gods in this world, spirits don't really seem to have any direction when they pass. That was the primary thing I was trying to protect you from, as you could become something quite evil. There's things out there that feed on lost souls. You could travel to another plane and we'd never find you. That was the intent.
So you brought us all together to get you out of the seal that you were stuck in.
Oh, you were already here.
And now we have the rings that keep us together still. What do you have planned?
Okay, your bug. Planned? What makes you think I have a plan?
Seems like a lot of work for a prophecy or experiment to work.
My plan's already in motion. What does that look? You think I have a sinister, evil plan?
Yeah.
Says the paladin, of course. He just kind of keeps smiling to himself like he's just proud.
I do have a question. I came into this a little later than everybody else.
Yeah.
And when they first gave me the ring, I put it on. Nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
So why did mine get activated later and who did it?
Well, there's only one person that can activate that ring, and you're looking at him. Got to wake him up, kind of. Got to know how to tickle it just right.
That smile looks a little familiar.
Well, what did I look like to you?
It was.
Think back and you're reminded of the world as being like enveloped in this wind and like a shadow-like figure with like pointed claw hands and a staff with a red eye on top of it and just like jagged jack-o'-lantern teeth looking down on you.
To be honest, it looked evil to me. Wasn't a pleasant sight.
That was a good guy.
Maybe so, but
Doubtful.
I mean, it's up for interpretation by the author, of course. That was okay. You guys got the note, right? You did a good job. But, so you were asking about the master plan. And it just, like, he goes back to that. Like, he wants to go back to that. And you can see him, like, beaming with pride. Where you stand right now is the last pillar keeping this world from falling into shadow. Just imagine it. Just imagine. You have, and he just kind of takes his hand. You have the material plane. You got like the Feywild up here, and then you got dirty shadow place down here, right? It's the Shadowfell. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
It mirrors our world, right? And between that, the ether, where your homie right here is, where your friend is staying. So every year, it's like a cycle. Our world just dips lower and dips lower, and it kind of comes back up. But it never comes quite back to where it was before. And the next year, it dips lower and dips lower and dips lower. It comes back up. Still not quite to where it used to be. Like, even the air in this world feels a lot drearier than it used to.
I thought you was going to say dank.
It feels real dank. So, I have, with my knowledge of magic, produced a pillar that as this world dips down, it holds this world up. This plane. Then goes back up. And it's been going, 400 or 500 years, I guess. But over time, it gets weaker. And I gotta refuel it. But without it, we wouldn't even exist anymore. Everything you know, wiped out, gone. Can you imagine two realities just coming together? What would happen?
Yeah, sounds like a bad time, but there had to be a time before that
Yeah, there was.
that the worlds were colliding. Two realms, two planes.
Yeah,
So in other words, someone made it happen like that.
they did. Would you like to know who?
Yeah.
Before humanity arrived on this continent, Elves. This was their land. And we come to take it from them, and they got desperate. And they dabbled in some magic beyond them, and just beyond what anyone should ever mess with. That tear and those colliding powers pushed the material plane closer. Of course, it tried to recover, but without the presence of the gods to keep things in balance, it's just freely moving. So, who caused this were the elves. Not on purpose. I'm sure they didn't mean it. But this is what we're left with. This is the aftermath. I mean, it wasn't just some simple cast one spell. This was a powerful magic. Many lives were sacrificed to this magic. Over a long period, well, I guess weeks. Over a period of time. And then, from the other side, there was pressure added. Things just didn't quite hold up like they should. And who's going to fix it? I don't know how to fix it. Do you know how to fix it?
You said it happened because there was no presence of the gods, right? So
It didn't happen because, but it hasn't been fixed.
So we find the gods and restore order.
Yeah, we're just gonna go outside and, hey, come fix our world. It's been jacked up for a long time. Where you at? Why hast thou forsaken me? And tear our shirts in the rain. So poetic. I mean, you've talked to an avatar. Did they mention any of this? Any intent to put things back the way they should be?
No, but I do believe they're there, wherever they're at.
They're there somewhere.
And
Just
wherever
not
they're
here.
at, I intend to find them, regardless.
He kind of like gives you a thumbs up, like, all right, go get him.
How do you refuel your pillar?
Another answer you guys aren't going to like very much. Necessary. But there is almost an endless fuel spread all over this plane. Spirits have nowhere to go. I put them to work. Need more detail than that?
So is that when you brought the paladin that was slain back to give him a job and add more fuel to your pillar?
He seems like just kind of be rummaged through his head of that I think maybe I need to explain a little more how it works. So, I've done a lot of research. A lot of research over what makes us tick. Your mind, your body, and of course your spirit. This energy, or it can be. It's not limitless, but it is a strong creation magic. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So, with little fancy, smancy magic ways, I'm able to manipulate these in ways for my benefit, for your benefit, for the whole world's benefit, as it still exists. I mean, I could leave them alone, and they could just wander around, being useless, coming back, killing people, making more spirits. So, I take them, gather them up, as I've done for years and years. Much easier now, by the way, now that I'm not sealed away. And just imagine just this gigantic tornado of screaming souls that come to a point, pierce through the veil, and every now and then that little tip touches in the next world, and they lift us back up. And they seem happy doing it. I mean, I've had no complaints. They seem to understand whenever I commune with them. I wouldn't force them to do it. I mean, of course, you got the ones, why should I do this? Lazy. Lazy spirits. And he kind of bends forward. Does any of that make sense to any of you guys?
Is that what you did with our parents?
No, I did not. No, but when I was released, I assumed that people were going to come, guns blazing. Oh no, Nicholas, he's been sealed away. He took the elf side. Kill him. And so, I gathered energy. I brought them into one being with me and prepared for a fight. The fight never came. And regrettably, you guys have visited the vineyard since, and you weren't recognized, of course, by anyone here. That's my fault. I apologize. I just didn't think it was. Time. I wasn't sure that it'd be safe here. And now it feels pretty safe. As he's talking, Owen stands up. and storms towards the front door. And Nicholas kind of looks to the side as he's walking. He's like, "It's okay, Owen. Just go out and let some steam off. It'll be all right. Hey, things will get better. I promise." And Owen ignores him, just like slings the door open, and closes it behind him and storms away. Whew. Man, it feels really good to get all this off my chest. Anything else?
So, all this talk of books. In my room, there was a book that is locked. It says The Life of Hammer. That's kind of weird that you would have a book of my life.
Well, I didn't bring it here. I didn't make it. You have Ruby to thank for that. As he gestures to Ruby, and she kind of like sheepishly like looks over and smiles a little bit.
Huh. Why would she have it?
Maybe you should ask her.
Ruby, why do you have a book of the life of me?
And she kind of looks like shocked as you ask her, and like her eyes are searching. You gave it to me.
Did I happen to give you a key to unlock it as well?
And she kind of like gasps, but it's like, and she's like, you see her like searching through her, like she has no pockets, but she's searching. She's like,
check the boot
and
purse.
she looks in there. She's like, I didn't, and she's kind of stuttered, has her hand out, and the key kind of appears in her hand as Nicholas kind of makes a motion towards her. She's like, "Oh, thank you," and she hands it to you.
Thank you. This is just a little awkward.
She kind of
So you've actually seen me before.
Yeah. I helped you.
How long ago was this?
And as you ask her, Nicholas butts back in. I'm here. This is the trial of truth for Nicholas. Ruby can take the stage later.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of looks at everybody. All right. So, any more questions for me? He looks like he's almost like a child pouting for attention.
Actually, yes. I stand up. Where are their shadows? His eyes kind of dart over and look back at you. And the way the room is lit, you can't actually see like where anybody's shadow would be. Anyway, you see like the shadow of the table kind of coming through the wall. And he's like, "What do you mean? Where everybody? Where's your shadow? Where's your shadow? What?" You know what I mean.
Fine. Their shadows are. He kind of like peeks outside, tending the fields. As he kind of peers from the window, and he's kind of looking oddly. Anyway,
So
he continues to stare out.
They're always working.
Yeah, they're a lot harder workers than the human body. But yeah, excuse me, sorry. He kind of like squints his eyes and looks outside again. I removed their shadows from them, and doubled up my numbers. Harmless, of course.
What gives you the right?
Well, they let me. I asked them. And he like points over to one. "Hey, did you mind if I took your shadow?" And they shake their head no.
What gives you the right to use the souls?
Well, I guess I gave myself the right.
Does that sound like a good person to you?
Well, I mean, I could just let everybody die, I guess. Would that be better?
That's not your call.
I guess the God's call, wherever the fuck they are, because he kind of yells at the sky.
I just get a little bit mad when he says that, just making a mockery. Just look at him like intently, like you're ready to like punch someone.
He
in
kind
the
of holds
face.
his hand up and he's like, good and evil. Where does that notion come from? I mean, gods are like primordial forces. We probably have no concept of what good and evil is. A man-made idea. Animals. A father looking to pass on his seed, kills the babies of the mother, and reproduces with her. Human standards, evil. Do we stop them in nature from doing this? No, we don't. What gives them the right? Sure, what I've done measured on good and evil. In some, I'm the most evil son of a bitch that's ever existed. To others, savior, if they can comprehend. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to sound rude, but it's not a lot of people that appreciate what I've done. But I'm not one for bragging to random people. He kind of raises an eyebrow to the side.
Well, with as much time as you had to think about it, I'm sure you warped it into some kind of good. A greater good, I hope, in the end. I guess the ends justify the means, right? And he kind of smiles to himself, almost trying to reassure what he said.
Nicholas, you speak a lot of gods. I read somewhere that the symbols of these gods have changed. What do you know of that?
Well, I'm not 100% why they changed, but I do remember there were some changes right after the war. Probably about the time that things started to collapse, which, by my guess, is about the same time that they left. If they ever really did, but they're definitely not making their presence known. But unfortunately, I really don't have an answer.
Do you think it's a curse on this land that the elves keep rising this time of year?
Well, the elves, they're more attuned to the magic than any other race in this world, so a curse to the living, yes. Revenge for them, mostly, I'm sure. I don't think they enjoy the idea of the humans that enslaved and butchered their families as living peacefully on their land.
Much like you've enslaved these souls to do your bidding?
They can leave whenever they would like. I can manipulate them, I can't completely control them.
How's Nathan and Samuel reacting to any of this information?
Nathan is like still just like staring, like a piercing gaze, and just intently listening to everything that's been said. Sam is still like looking down and kind of shaking his head, and doesn't look like he wants to be there. I know this is all fancy, end of the world kind of talk, and I mean it is, and it has been for a very long time, but it's not right now. It's a happy time, celebration, happy birthday. Is there any more questions?
How much longer do you think we have before your pillar breaks?
Well, every cycle, it moves more violently. And I can continue to pump more power into it. But eventually, at the rate that it's going, it's going to pierce the next world. And there will be nothing to separate, no matter what I do. Make it wider, doesn't matter. It's planar existence is not as physical as you think it is. But just imagine like a spike going through something, and then it'll just keep going.
But how long until that happens?
He kind of like looks like he doesn't want to say. A few years.
Okay.
Nicholas, whether it's because of the rings you've given us or whatever the reason, we have become very capable.
He smiles and shakes his head. He agrees. Grow up to be very powerful. I'm very proud of you.
What can we do to save the world?
I've been asking myself that question for a long time. And he kind of sighs heavily. Well, we may be in luck. And he kind of stiffens up for a second and like looks out the window again. And he just stops. He just like he looks down at the ground and like doesn't move. His hands are to the side, and like his confused look starts to turn into like shock and worry. And the sunlight coming in through the window begins to dim. Something's wrong. And he turns and he goes towards the door and he puts a hand on it. And he turns back to you, all of you. Come on, kids. Come with me. Everybody else, stay in here. Do not leave this room, no matter what. And he seems to wait to see if you guys are going to follow or not.
Follow.
I look out the window.
You look out the window.
Yes.
What you see outside the window is it looks like the vineyard, the vines are beginning to wither.
Well,
You said it was starting to dim, the light.
It's like a shadow is. You can look up and you can see that there's soft rolling clouds, but they're very gray, almost like it's going to
Would
rain.
it have looked kind of like what we came through before we got to the vineyard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I get up, start walking.
Yeah. Anybody staying behind or anybody going?
Going.
All
I
right.
get up, but real slowly, but I'm coming like whatever.
Yeah, you can see like a sense of like urgency in his eyes. We'll take a break. All right. And we'll come back. All right. We'll take a quick break and we'll get back to it. Give us about 5-10 minutes and we'll keep on playing. See you in a bit.
Don't go anywhere.
Hey! Welcome back. Thank you for being patient for our break. Before the break, man, you guys have been talking to Nicholas, learning all kinds of crazy things. What he's been up to. Bump, how do you feel about what he's been up to? Using souls of all beings, spirits as he likes to call them, because souls are just so cliche.
He is trying to prove his point that he's doing good, but I think he is full of shit.
Yeah,
You gonna come out and say it?
you don't believe his torrent of bodiless spirits.
I believe
keeping
that.
the planes from colliding. And
I believe that, but I
exist.
think he has something to do with it.
Oh, you think he did it?
Yeah, something.
He's trying to clean up his own mess.
Something, yeah. He's just fucking it up.
Well, right before the break, you guys were asking him questions. He seemed to kind of be worried and stop, like something's happening that you guys are unaware of. And he went to the door, asked you guys to follow him, told everybody else to stay put, and everyone's following him. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. The door is there's two double doors, ways up against, and he pushes them open and steps through. As he opens the door, you guys see that you're on the front. It opens up to the front porch of the mansion, overlooking the fountain, much like your room did earlier. Yeah, the sky is filled with gray clouds. The air's dead still. Do you guys follow him out, or do you stay in the door?
Going out.
Yeah, I'll
going
follow.
out.
Yeah, step out.
Okay. Everybody go. You step out the door. It closes behind you as you can look in and still see the party. People just with worried looks looking as the door closes. When you step out the door, you notice the vast fields, once filled with healthy grapevines, are now rolling hills of black and shriveled plants withered to the ground. There's many shadow-like creatures standing in the fields. They all have humanoid shapes, and they're standing silent and unmoving. And they seem to be looking towards the right, where you guys are standing.
And look out that way.
Off to the right, with a fountain, close to the path that goes down the hill to where the celebration area was, you can see Owen. He's down on his hands and knees, and he's bowing before a woman in a white silken dress. Her hair is long and black, her skin porcelain, but her features seem elven, as you can see her ears come to a point. And other than...
Does this woman look familiar?
You haven't seen her. Not familiar to you.
Okay.
But everything's silent. You don't hear, again, like when you guys arrived. There's no bugs, no birds. Not even wind.
What is she doing?
She's standing before him, looking down. Nicholas steps echo against the stone, and he steps towards them. As he steps, you notice that the echoes of his boots on the ground are kind of replaced with like a dull rumble. And then everything goes completely silent as you all feel a warm trickle run down your neck.
Let's see what it is.
Can we?
There's blood on your fingers. Your vision begins to blur, and you feel something going down your cheeks. You get blood on your hands. Everybody make a Constitution save.
Oh God, which dice?
6.
17. Do we get the bonus from him?
You don't get your bonus.
What's the bonus of 1?
The
No,
goal is
4.
The goal is 15. If you got,
Which,
The bonus
it was a
and-
Constitution save?
yeah.
No.
5.
I got
What's your plus?
4. I
All
got
right, did anybody else beat 15 other than Scrime?
18.
24.
Okay. All right. Those of you who failed, you feel your body and your throat begin to get dry, and your tongue's heavy, and your arms fall to your sides, and you're unable to stand as you lurch over and fall to your knees. Your skin begins to turn gray and crack and blow in the wind. Ruby runs past you, and she grabs Nicholas by the shoulder, and she turns and points at you guys, and he turns around and reaches into his robe and produces a crystal and throws it to the ground, and it shatters. And in front of you, like a small fissure, a crack in the ground, opens up, and blue light blows into your faces. Those of you passed, you're still able to stand, but it doesn't feel good. Your body still feels heavy. Your vision begins to clear, but you still can't hear anything. And it's like a cool, refreshing sensation. He places his hand on Ruby, and you can also see like a blue glow. The air that's blowing has like a blue hue to it. You can see little like wisp lights that are flying through it. Nicholas turns back towards the woman and Owen, and he just kind of crosses his arm and starts stroking his beard as he watches them both. The woman stands looking down at Owen. She has no emotion on her face, just complete lack of emotion. She extends a hand down to him, like if beckoning him to rise up. As she does this, you can see Nicholas visibly, he shakes his head and seems to say something, but you can't understand what he says. And he continues to look on. Just a moment passes by, but it seems like an eternity as you guys are just...
Can I touch the blue force field thing in front
Yeah,
of
you
me?
can reach out and touch it. And it's
Can I
just,
pass through it?
yeah, you can pass through. It's almost like wind kind of just flows to your fingers, and you can see it, and it feels good.
Okay.
Your cracked skin begins to close, and a little bit of the color begins to return to it.
Step through.
You begin to step, but you don't. You move forward, but it's like, even with the Constitution save, you can just feel your body heavy. And you can You can get a step. And as you do, Nicholas turns back and just kind of puts a hand up, as if he wants to keep you behind this wind, this wall of wind. As you guys look on, Owen's still staring down at the ground, and he kind of sits back on his heels and looks up. And you can see there's tears streaming down his face. He looks up at the woman, and his mouth, he says something to her, but you're looking from the side, so you can't really read what his lips are saying. And after he says that, he kind of turns his head to the side and looks at all of you. He looks at you, Belle, and he seems to glance over at Ruby, and he smiles a little bit, almost like he's happy to see you again. You can't hear him again, but you can see him plainly mouth the words, "Happy birthday." Rising from the ground around him, a black swirl begins to circle around Owen. As his black ring begins to rise, you can see him close his eyes, and you can hear him say in your head, Belle, "I love you." As he says that, the black void shoots, piercing into the sky. Strong winds soon follow after, and make it almost hard to breathe. You can stand fine, but it's almost hard to catch a breath. And as this pillar of just pure black reaches the clouds seem to kind of they seem to swirl back down to the ground. The shadows from the fields, they disappear, they vanish. And you can see black fragments begin to fill the air as the dead vines in the fields start blowing apart and rising to the sky due to the wind. Nicholas turns, and he yells something at Ruby, and he points his finger at the ground as if telling her to stay. And then he kind of glances at all of you, runs his eyes over you, and turns and marches directly towards the woman still standing where Owen was kneeling. Her hair and dress are unmoved by the wind. Like the wind that's blowing from this area doesn't even move her dress. As she turns to Nicholas and watches him approach, his robes are whipping in the wind violently. And she does the same as she did with Owen. She extends her hand in a gesture. As Nicholas moves forward to meet her, he lifts his right hand out towards her, pushing against the wind. As his hand passes over hers, she reaches up to clasp his hand, but then his hand continues forward and grips her by the throat. Her face is still complete void of all emotion as she stares back into him. With unblinking eyes. He seems to be saying something to her, but still, just everything is completely silent. After he says that, she places her hand that was extended on his arm, and you can see black veins running back up Nicholas's arm, and he kind of flinches in pain a little bit. You can see blood starts to drip from his arm onto the ground. And his fingers begin to turn black, and he tries to pull away, but can't. On his face, you can see he's surprised, and he's worried. Ruby, she stands. She's still watching. She's not moving. You can see the veins start to run up his neck from under his robes, and he's fighting it, but then he kind of holds his head back and relaxes, and you can see him take a breath. And when he does that, all the wind stops blowing. The air is dead. As he's got her, he reaches up with his other hand and grabs her by the throat, and you can see the look of madness and like some warped joy overtake him as he has this grin on his face. And you think you can see an eye. His skin spins and a slit opens, and a third eye on his forehead stares at her. The woman's eyes widen at this point. It may be confusion, maybe sudden fear, you're not sure. Her head leans back and her mouth opens, and a black ray, similar to like a ray of light shot out, but it's completely black, into the clouds, and where it enters the clouds, just a circle appears. And in the sky, you can see stars. It looks like it's night outside. but the clouds still look like there's sun behind it around that. The pillar that's engulfing Owen still blows to the side, but seems to kind of wane a little bit as this happens with the woman. Ruby, who is standing beside you, very quickly rushes up, and she stands between Nicholas, who still has the woman in his grasp, and the pillar of the swirling blackened cloud where Owen was. She raises her claw into the air, and as she does, you see a sword pierce through this blackened void, and she catches it in the air. As she does that, you can almost feel the impact on the ground as the ground cracks a little bit. The void that was surrounding him blows away. Now, you don't see Owen standing there. Something completely different. There's a knight, towering over 7 feet tall, clad in black plate. Horns that come from his chest piece curl out in front of the shoulder pads, the shoulder plates. Spikes that kind of remind you of like a barbed thorn plant around the edges. And under a helmet, which has thick, curled ram horns on the side, a faceplate of a skull hides his face. You can also see, like in the eye holes, 2 red, burning eyes seem to be gazing down at Ruby. Flame shoots up the greatsword as it ignites, and Ruby holds onto the sword. The knight he tries to pull the sword away and lifting Ruby off the ground, but she holds on. Seeing her not let go, he holds her and kind of turns, grabbing the other side, and swings hard as almost to fling her off into the distance. But Ruby, still a sword in hand, gently lands on the ground on the other side of the swing. Ruby still got the sword in her hand, and as she lands, you can see her like staring up at him, and her red eyes almost like a bonfire of flame. Nicholas still has a woman in his grasp, but you can see as he's holding her, the black veins that run up his arm. His skin seems to kind of twist, and almost in like a paper fashion, skin and flesh burst, leaving nothing but bone and just a little bit of connected tissue. He and both the lady fall back. Ruby releases the sword and rushes to grab Nicholas before he hits the ground, and the knight does the same for the lady and catches her. And Ruby slowly puts Nicholas down on the ground and stands back up to face the knight, who still has the woman in his arm. To the side of him, kind of a pool of shadow begins to bubble, and a horse head begins to rise up, and black with red eyes and like black water-like liquid falling from it. It begins to raise up, and as it raises up, he puts a foot over it, and then it continues to rise up out of the ground, lifting him up. It's a huge war horse, clad in armor, very similar to his. The knight seems to look down at Nicholas and Ruby, and then he looks over to you. And it starts to snow, but it's black. It's like the crops that were all blown into the air are now coming back down and landing in the fields. And he turns the horse and begins to ride off, and you think you can see a familiar necklace swing. He takes the woman and rides away. You can see black hoof prints left in the dirt as he rides off. And suddenly, you can breathe again, and you can feel life start to flow back into you. It stays cloudy, but you begin to hear again as this wind that's been blown over you continues to blow. It seems to be healing you. And you were left. Ruby kneels down over Nicholas and seems to be checking him to make sure she's okay.
I run up.
Yeah, run over there too.
Yeah, you run over, and Nicholas he seems to be unconscious. Just like his arms, just mere skeletons laying to his sides. And like black, like ash, lands on the ground around him.
attempt to heal him, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to heal him.
You gonna try to heal him?
Yeah, cure wounds.
All right. As you're looking over him, he still seems to be breathing, but he is unconscious.
Yeah, cure wounds level 3.
Okay.
What am I rolling? The 2d8.
You can roll up how much you're doing, but like as you heal him, his eyes slowly open, and you can see like his eyes are bloodshot, and there's blood on the inside of his eyelids, and he seems to be having a hard time seeing.
I'm just gonna try to lay on hands and put out 30 into him.
You gonna try to heal him up?
Yeah.
The direction that Owen and the elfin lady went, can we still see them?
You can see them in the distance. They're a pretty good bit away, but they're rotting back in the way you guys came in, up over the hill. You can see the trees in the distance, but you can't see the gargoyles over the hill. But he's right in that direction. With Lady in tow.
Start running.
You going after him?
Yeah.
Okay. You can run. You're not going to keep up with him, but you can chase him as long as you like
they're
to.
pretty fast.
Yeah, he's booking it. He's getting out of there.
I just want to see where they're going.
Okay.
I try to.
23 to Nicholas.
23?
Yeah.
And the 30 that I tried to heal him with lay on hands. It's like it was mine.
All right. Oh, by the way, everybody roll whatever your hit die is. Roll 2 of those.
Okay.
That's going to be how much HP you have remaining.
Oh, I would have been a mad healing word before this. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Oh, really? No,
2.
2. Well, the ones, those of you who made your Constitution save, you can get 1 more. You get 3.
Oh, okay.
So those, if you got 2, right? That's how much you got left. You got 2. I know I should have told you that before you started healing.
All right. I got 15 to work with.
No, 4.
I have 12.
Dang.
13.
Yeah, how you doing?
14.
14? You got 2? Well, like I said, you're left.
Can I use this as an 11?
Nope.
That's 2 ones, right? So,
Only if you count the 2 zeros as zeros. But yeah, this is what you're left with. I mean, Ruby she's silent. She's like sitting over Nicholas as you guys you're healing him, and you can see that it's kind of similar to with Raynor whenever you were burned. Like you can see the healing's working, but it's not just miraculously regenerating him. But he opens his eyes and you can see how like bloodshot they are. Oh, water. As he asks for a drink.
I'll run back to the door and try to find some water at the party.
Okay, yeah. You open the door, you go back into the manor, and Crowder is actually sitting there at the front door, and he's, oh,
Water now.
yes, sir. And he gets up and he runs off, and yeah, it'll be a few moments. He'll come back with a he'll have the whole plate out. He'll have like some cups on there with some water.
God, I just grabbed the whole thing and ran.
So you can see him. He like fills it up and he like starts preparing cups on the
No
silver dish.
fear.
All right, you run it back out. Everyone's still sitting around or laying around.
And I have 4 health. I'm laying on the ground.
Yeah, I mean it was a very taxing. Like even though it's over, you can feel like your body is just like
drained.
like the life was being sucked from your body, literally.
And even with them gone, it's still dark and it's still snowing.
It's still like a
snow.
the basically the dried dead plants are still snowing from the sky, and it's the gray cloudiness because it's about still after midday. It's about 1 p.m. It's like a cloudy day at 1 p.m.
Okay, I stand over and cast Prestidigitation and try to clear up the space.
Okay, yeah. You can wipe away the blood and even the soot. And he kind of like opens his mouth a little bit, like he's like, oh. He sees you have the water.
That's how your souls feel.
You can like almost kind of see like a cracked smile on his
Then I
face.
pour some water down on it.
And he kind of as he swallows deeply, like as if he's so dehydrated, and like you can see like his arms move, like he's trying to reach up towards it, but there's nothing there for him to reach up and grab with. And Ruby reaches over and she like offers to take it from you, and
Yeah.
she like slows it down and kind of lets him sip a little bit. And yeah, you guys are left. Him and Ruby are sitting there. You're chasing after them. You can see down the hill from where you guys are that people are starting to, or well, you see Nathan. He's kind of peeking outside a little bit, looking around. So you see nobody else leave
How much time has passed
since
all that? Since they left?
since they left.
Yeah.
Oh, just not much, like a minute.
Okay. I'm gonna cast Phantom Steed.
All right, cast it up.
All right. This huge horse appears out of pretty much off the ground, nowhere,
Yeah.
and I mount it,
Mhm.
and I take off.
All right, you take off in that same direction you've seen him going.
Yes.
Let's see. So you chase him over the hill. There's the tree line. Ayo, you'd be able to see as they left the tree line. He turns to. Let's see where you guys at. To the left. Seems to be going off to the left side, and that is the direction. The only things in that direction are open plains and also Pearl Reach. If he goes in a southerly direction, but you're able. You ride forward. You lose sight of him after he turns, but you're able to catch up to Ao.
I throw my hand out.
All right, he offers to give you a ride.
Take his hand and kind of slide my way up.
All right, let's make an acrobatics check.
Probably really good. 29.
Oh yeah, you're able to hop on there and land behind him easily, and you guys go forward. And as you get to the edge, get to the tree line between the gargoyles and pass through, the world, it gets a little darker still on the outside. As soon as you pass over the threshold and you look, make a perception check.
Both?
Yeah, go. Both of you do it. You're both looking.
11.
17.
17. You look in the direction that he went. You still can't see him. It seems you lost the trail. The plot trails.
Plot trail.
I look at
It's close though.
that bell, and then the ruby.
Ruby, is this the Shadowfell? Is this what Nicholas was talking about?
Are you asking Ruby that? If this is the Shadowfell? And she kind of like looks. I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not. But she seems to not know.
During this time, I am going to cast Beacon of Hope and Masculine Word.
What are you trying to do?
Nice.
Heal everybody.
You trying to heal everybody?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go for it. Roll it up.
With Beacon of Hope, I get the max.
Max.
Oh, you do? You just give everybody the
So,
max?
Yeah.
What's the range?
30 feet.
30 feet. Okay, yeah, everyone around, other than you guys that rode off, you get whatever your maximum healing is.
Yeah.
Woo! Ready to go back to 40?
No.
It's whatever. He's got to tell you how much you get healed
Yeah.
to. Just figured it up.
You just get 17.
17 HP returns to you.
Thank you.
still pretty good.
As different from the refreshing
Different
wind
too.
you felt earlier, but it's like actually how is the healing of Mercule? We've talked about it before, but what does it feel like? You know, like what was happening to you guys earlier as you were getting healed? You felt like a cool, refreshing wind,
Like minty.
and I feel like it's like winter fresh.
Yeah. For sure, winter fresh.
And I'm sure Helm is like a bright, inspiring light. What Mercule's be like? You think?
Shit. It'd be shit.
No.
Don't want
It's gotta be like
Spicy.
yeah, what's
Spicy heel.
the cinnamon,
Cinnamon?
big red.
Yeah. We're going big
A little
red.
spicy, kind of burns a little bit, but
Like, ooh, spicy, did it? Whoa.
It's kind of hot, but as the wind blows over you, it feels cool.
Spicy hot.
All right, Falcor, let's go back.
Ruby has, mainly with her large arm, her claw arm, is scooping Nicholas up and is lifting him up and is carrying him back into the mansion.
How's he looking?
He looks not great. Like his skin, the black veins you can see are almost still kind of there. It's faded, and he's breathing but labored.
I just want to ask him. I guess like in a pen, Nicholas, who was that? What was that? Who was that?
And you can hear him whisper as you listen. Mercule.
I just begin to.
Your boy just kind of look off.
And that's actually we're going to pause for tonight. Oh man, yeah.
Oh man!
Oh, not like this.
Oh, not like this.
I know those cliffhangers, but you know
Not like
it's a
this.
weekday. People got to work in the morning. I got to be up at like 6 to go catch a flight or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back for the exciting not conclusion. It won't be this weekend. It'll be Saturday after the 4th.
Yeah, it'll be November the 4th.
November 4th we'll be back, and we will keep on going. So thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay charismatic, my friends.